welcome back to yet another Buffalo Bills pregame. I am Randy. Dan is here joining me, and we want to thank you so much for all the success that we've had at Buffalo Bills pregame. Some of the most watched videos of our entire time together was last season, and we can't thank you enough. And we got a lot in store for you this year, so we hope that you enjoy as much as we like making these videos for you. So if you can take the time to like and subscribe to our videos to make sure that you're up to date on everything that's going on in our Buffalo's pregame world, we would greatly appreciate it. But without a moment's further ado, the breaking news, what's all over my Bills news feed today, Josh Allen is single. Is this going to affect his performance? Do we need to consider drafting a girlfriend?
I'd like to blame, the end of the season on maybe there were some issues there, and maybe now it's gone, and that's possibly a better thing, or maybe that might affect the season.
Classic addition by subtraction, yeah.
Right. I mean, he's got some time to mourn, so mourn's probably not the right word. But
well, they've known each other. They were like childhood friends, so I'm sure losing someone, a good friend, no matter the romantic status of it, is not easy. So we hope you the absolute mental best. And I know just from my circle of friends that there's plenty of men, women, and children, and everything in between, willing to fill whatever role Josh wants for them. So I think in Buffalo he's got very fertile fishing waters, as it were. We made a big deal about last year being on this Buffalo Bills pregame show. We might be a bit of homers, but we made a big deal about there being a Super Bowl season. Since we did not get our parade, we did not win the Super Bowl. Is it irresponsible for us to try to hype up our fans this much again? Is it irresponsible for us here at our podcast or internet show to be talking Super Bowl again?
No, I don't necessarily think it is. I think the Bills, starting probably last year, had about a 2, maybe 3-year Super Bowl window. And I think last year was year one. I think we're still in that position. So I definitely, I think we might want to tame our expectations a little bit, obviously given how last year ended. But no, I think the Bills are still a top 5 team in the league.
They are not the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl this year, which might be an advantage to the fact that the odds-on favorite of the Super Bowl does not usually win the Super Bowl. It's just a statistics thing, and that's the way it plays out in real life. So maybe not carrying that burden of saying, like, you are the ones that are chosen to expected to win might do them some good as well. We have experienced probably most of what we're going to have for free agency so far, with only one projected starter, McGovern, on guard from all the free agent signings. I guess hard to be blown away. Are you impressed by the free agency? Was it very utilitarian? Anything that you wanted to share about your thoughts on the free agent movements?
Yeah, I think they definitely filled some holes here and there. Obviously not that many stars. It seems like they've definitely been aiming more towards keeping the guys they already have. I think, keeping A.J. Klein is important, especially with losing Tremaine Edmonds. So, I think they've definitely been trying to maintain the roster that they had last year, which I don't think is a terrible thing given how many games they won last year. Obviously, you want to get guys who are going to change the game, make plays against the Bengals and have you move on. But no, I'm not complaining about, the free agency signings.
I don't know if they didn't love what was available, but I noticed there was a lot of one-year contracts, the free agent signings. Maybe taking advantage of the fact that this is a place that players want to play right now. It's a good team, good chance of being in the playoffs and being competitive. So get a prove me contract. We'll sign you for 1 year. Let's see what you do. But there are holes on the roster that you are expecting them now to address in the draft, and let's hope that they have sufficient draft capital going in to fill those holes. Devin Singletary leaves the team to be a backup for the Texans, formerly our number one. Has Cook improved so much to go from being our backup that he's going to be a legitimate number one, or is a running back an early concern as the Bills approach this draft?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky given, the fact that we drafted James Cook in the second round last year. You're hoping he makes that jump, definitely. And you're re-signing Nyheim Hines and getting Damian Harris from New England. Ideally, I think that, those can be the guys, given how pass-heavy Buffalo is. But ideally, I'm hoping they're not going to go first round for a running back, just given the running back market these days. But it'll definitely be interesting.
Well, that was one thing that they did repeatedly in the drought years, was to reach early first rounds for a running back, a difference-making running back that maybe didn't perform, someone that they could have gotten in later rounds. So if for any other reason that we've been hurt by that so many times, I don't know how comfortable I'd be with drafting a first-round running back. And considering that we're drafting basically in the second round anyway, considering how late we are, it would really have, if you're going to get the number one running back prospect, you might have to trade up to get it, and that is something I have zero interest in. Tremaine Edmonds leaving the linebacker squad is probably the biggest hole on defense that needs to be addressed most urgently. Simultaneously, the draft experts do not see this as the strongest linebacker class coming out. Like I said, we're close to second round anyway, being so late in the first. Do you think that is a possible first round attention getter?
They're definitely going to need to address it one way or the other. Whether it's drafting someone in the early rounds or drafting someone in the later rounds and having there be competition in training camp. Because that linebacker, losing Tremaine Edmonds, that's going to be a hole they're going to need to fill. And I know we were talking earlier about how, like you said, they might not be first round talents. So, we'll see. See how the draft starts, and if the Bills were to trade out of the first round, I wouldn't be that shocked by that either, given only having 6 picks this year.
That leads me to my next question. Do you think they're more likely to trade down for more picks or to trade up for a player? Because we know Brandon Beane, if he gets laser focused on someone, he will move up.
Right, yeah, definitely. And I think, I trust Brandon Beane. I think we should, just given, I think the team that he's built over the last few years, I would definitely, if there was a guy that he saw that he really wanted to get, that he thought, even a receiver that can definitely, help Josh out, and he definitely want that playmaking receiver, I would trust him. But as well as, I think if you get more capital down the road, second and third round, you can also get some great guys there as well.
Brandon Beane has done very well, especially with his front of the draft picks, first round, second round, and has gotten some great value late in the draft. But is those second and third, fourth rounds picks where he's missed a lot, and maybe there's still projects that will come to fruition. And in 2 years, I'm eating these words, and I'd be so happy if that's the case. But I guess the hesitation is that before we start trading down to get players in those rounds, let's make sure that they're players that are going to be contributing right away on this team. Drafting as late as we are, no, it's a crapshoot, but coming off a season where you chose the correct draft pick. I chose the correct record for the team for the season. Even more impressive was your choice of the draft pick. So no pressure, but the world is watching. Who are the Bills drafting this year?
I think, I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. My gut is saying they really need a guy that can be alongside Stephon Diggs. So I want them to get a receiver. I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston. Big player. Can definitely go for those 50-50 balls. So that's what I'm going to go with. Ideally, I know he's probably, I'm guessing, the best prospect in the draft. So, he might not even be there down the road, but I'll go with that pick.
Someone falls all the time, so maybe this is the year for that. I love the idea of adding an offensive weapon. We consistently choose defense. Someone like Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, a big tight end, to be a passing option would be great. And I just think that is a underutilized position in the Bills squad consistently. And maybe it's time to address that with draft as opposed to free agency, which seems to be our go-to move a lot of times with tight ends. But because McDermott is a defensive coach and we have just so consistently drafted defenders, I'm going to go ahead and say I think it's more likely that they do choose a linebacker. And so I think Drew Sanders out of Arkansas might be a choice. Dane Henley out of Washington State, they like to choose players from cold weather colleges, so I would perhaps him. And just to throw in one more name to increase my chances, Trenton Simpson out of Clemson. We always draft someone from Clemson, so why not right away? But soon enough, we will know. And we do always enjoy reviewing the draft. This is always one of the biggest shows for us, so thank you so much to everyone who watched and stuck it out this long. We will be back for our draft review to tell you how the Bills did and give you our scores. And as always, we'll see you again real soon. I'm getting good at that, man. After all this time, who would have thought?
I have you now.
Not again, Anakin! No! But with that, that wraps up our coverage of the Bills review. Oh, man. And with that, that'll wrap up our Buffalo Bills draft preview. Always one of our most watched views. So thank you so much to all the fans who have watched all the way through. And we'll be back with our draft oh my gosh. You know, after all these years, I'm getting pretty...
I have you now.
Not again, Anakin! Ah!